Ms. Castles, was it worth all the time and money just for this?
The district attorney was silent, but Angelina County taxpayers deserve an explanation. For 2 full days in late June, Janet Castles did what she had almost never done in the 3 years she's been the DA: personally prosecute a criminal case.
Going hot!
And it wasn't a dangerous, violent criminal. No, this was a misdemeanor prosecution of the former county judge Don Lymbery, the retired military veteran who had never been charged with a crime in his entire life until last year, accused of talking county business with 2 other commissioners outside of a public meeting.
They spent lots of money to prosecute me.
If you read the headlines after the trial was over, you already know that Judge Travis Kitchens ruled Lymbery was guilty of 1 misdemeanor violation of the Texas Open Meetings Act.
I did not do what I'm being accused of. I've maintained that from the start, and I still maintain it.
But Lymbery took little solace in the fact that 15 other misdemeanor charges the DA had piled on him with those blaring headlines. They were either dismissed or he was found not guilty.
I hate that it was so embarrassing for the county and for myself and my family.
I thought it was ridiculous.
Tracy Pinkerton watched all the testimony, and she's the head of the Angelina County Transparency Group, We the Watchdogs. What did she learn?
Their corruption is more important than taking care of the citizens and the people that are in jail and the victims and the families.
But she wasn't talking about Don Lymbery. She thinks he was driven out of office unfairly. She was talking about the DA and County Commissioner Terry Pitts, whose complaints appear to be behind a lot of the political prosecutions.
I want to talk about asphalt.
About what?
Asphalt.
I don't know nothing about asphalt.
You've heard that nonsense before. Pitts has been involved in road work in this county for a long time. And he was clearly against Angelina County doing what the voters wanted them to do. What a lot of counties do. Remove the power to control asphalt and who gets it from guys like Terry Pitts. Hiring an engineer instead to fix the horrible roads without all the politics. And then there's Janet Castles.
Miss Castles, how are you?
Lymbery and Rodney Paulette, another commissioner indicted for that same get-together, had been her harshest critics on Commissioner's Court, fighting her budget. We've long said that made prosecuting these cases for Castles a classic conflict.
I think everyone thinks this is really just bogus what's going on.
Petty retaliation. That was apparently the gossip behind closed doors in the DA's office about this whole Open Meetings Act case. Brittany Tarkenton manned the front desk at the DA's office and did paralegal work. She messaged us on Facebook after our last report.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm scared of retaliation.
Tarkenton told us the misdemeanor prosecution of Don Lymbery was so important, employees were ordered to sign waivers of silence on the case. And that case only. We've asked the DA to see the documents.
She is very paranoid. We had to go around and sign waivers that we wouldn't talk to anyone about the case.
So what was this really all about? A security video without audio showed Lymbery and 2 commissioners in his office after a public agenda was posted. It was a planned vote on hiring engineer Chuck Walker. It was the county attorney, Carrie Kirby, who saw the video and said, "I need the Rangers and the DA." Not sure why, because in Texas, a quorum of commissioners in the same office is not illegal.
Introduce Steve Smith, who is our new Precinct 4 commissioner.
Steve Smith had been sworn in just a few hours before, and he was brand new, the 3rd vote to do what the voters wanted.
Let the record reflect that it is 3-2. Mr. Walker, we're moving forward with the program.
A longtime employee of the county says she heard Smith ask if he could question Walker before the vote, and she says she heard Lymbery say yes, but that's all she heard.
Have you made a deal with the DA?
Commissioner Steve Smith was the star witness, as we said he would be. He had denied county business was ever discussed, but in court, after being promised immunity, he said he had lied to a lot of people, even to his friends, to the sheriff, even to the Texas Rangers at first. Smith testified the trio in that room talked about who would make the motion to hire Walker.
I'm disappointed, but I'm sure that Steve did what he felt like was the best for Steve Smith. And I don't roll that way. I'm sorry.
The DA had to try and clean up more than Smith's lies. Just as he got his immunity deal with the DA, the 2 small residential streets around his house were paved. Of all the hundreds of streets in his precinct, they picked those, ignoring other streets that were clearly horrible.
You all know the front of Steve Smith's house is Yule Street, and the back of his house is Harold Street. The 2 streets were the only 2 streets completed.
It looks curious, but it was all just a big coincidence. These 2 county road officials testified in court. Do you really buy that?
You really want folks to believe this is all just a coincidence?
Man, my job is to work on roads. That's what I do.
Well, who told you to do that road?
Texas Ranger Ryan Clendenin did the investigation of Don Lymbery, but he did another investigation that, quite frankly, reeks of favoritism. Before Terry Pitt's complaints got Chuck Walker indicted, the road engineer had discovered Pitts had used all the asphalt he got from taxpayer money, but only paved half the roads promised. The county claimed records detailing the road work were non-existent for a long time. Then they suddenly appeared.
Well, you can accuse anybody of something if you want to, but like I said, I got court to do now, and I don't have time to fool with you.
Clendenin spent only a few weeks on his limited, cursory evaluation of the Pitts asphalt mystery before deciding the math didn't matter. The Rangers won't tell us who was actually even questioned, but on that alleged open meetings violation, a bunch of folks were questioned. In the end, Lymbery will pay just a small fine and can get the conviction erased from his record after just 1 month. Prosecutions of open meeting violations in Texas are exceedingly rare. We found only a handful of indictments. In Montgomery County, officials were accused years ago of negotiating an actual bond deal in secret. The charges were thrown out by the Texas Supreme Court. So Don Lymbery appears to be the only public official in Texas in at least 2 decades who will stand convicted for allegedly simply talking about county business in a quorum. That's based on news articles and court records we looked at. And Lymbery still insists this was really all about the fight over control of the roads. Political retaliation, the misdemeanor indictment, was used to remove Lymbery from office immediately, and it paved the way for a vote to fire the engineer, who was uncovering questionable asphalt road work. He's still suing.
I was a proponent and a supporter of the new road system for Angelina County, and I'm still a supporter and proponent of the new road system for Angelina County.
It's time for Castles to think about the time and the cost of another misdemeanor trial over this same meeting. Commissioner Rodney Paulette will want a jury this time.
Ms. Castles, was it worth all the time and money just for this?
The DA won't talk to us, and it kind of runs in the family.
I'll walk with you.
No, I don't want you walking with me, Wayne.
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to walk with you if you're going to be mean to me.
Jimmy Castles did divorce work in the Angelina County Courthouse. Then Judge Clyde Harrington, who heard lawsuits involving Castles, once rented office space in his building. We had heard multiple complaints about their relationship.
So you think fellas have a right to know?
Well, if they do, they can come visit with me.
So they got to come visit you to get the truth. Is that what you're telling me? Really? Really, Judge?
Harrington didn't run for re-election, but his buddy, Jimmy Castles, he did. He's now the judge. And we got a glimpse of that judicial temperament 2 years ago.
Is there a law that says I can't walk and have...
And Clyde Harrington is now an assistant DA for Janet Castles, part of the prosecution team in the Lymbery case. How long will the judge stay with the DA? Who knows? But nearly 50 employees have either resigned or have been fired by Janet Castles in just 3 years, including Brittany Tarkenton, not a fan of the DA.
A bitch. Hard to please. Paranoid. Just crazy. Throws fits all the time.
Tarkenton says she was fired for bad work performance last November to make room, she claims, for employees of Jimmy Castle's law firm who needed jobs.
She took in all of his girls and my position was immediately filled.
But that's not the main reason Brittany reached out to us.
I thought it was really important to just back up what you're saying.
We've been exposing the backlog of criminal prosecutions in Angelina County. Accused criminals languishing in jail, awaiting their day in court, sometimes for years. But the victims of crime, they're being denied justice too in Lufkin. The DA's employees assigned to help them have also left in growing numbers.
She would say to our victim assistance coordinator not to talk to the families that our victims were in a ditch.
Shocking allegations that Janet Castles actually restricted communications with the family members of crime victims.
You want other employees to come forward.
Yeah, it's been enough.
There are people that are there that are very unhappy, right?
Everyone's unhappy.